Hello everyone, welcome to a new video of the indicator store, and today we are going to review moving average, but one in particular that has a special feature. And as you can see on the right, we have an HMA, a simple moving average, an exponential moving average, and the line that I want to talk today is the VWAP, volume weighted average price. And what's the special about this line? The most important feature is that the result is it has no period. Okay, so it has the same value whatever you apply. Let me show you. When you apply it to a chart, you can see that there is a reset where it changed the value. That reset by default is the change of the day session. And why that happens? The importance is if we look at the volume and we add a volume, we can see that the most important changes are when we have volume. Can you see when we have an increase in the volume because we are starting the day session, then the line starts to move. And the idea is this: the price is multiplied by the volume of the current bar, and then we add this to the following bar. That means the result, this current result, is from the beginning, no? From the beginning is the price multiplied by the volume plus the price multiplied by the volume. And then when we reach to the end, we divide by all the volume. So in total is the price weighted by the volume, and this is the name, no? Volume weighted average price. And the most important is if there are several people trading this line, it doesn't matter which is the time frame that they are looking. Let's see an example, and also we can see how well defined are the bounces over this line, because the price or is on one side or the other, and it acts as a support or resistance. Example, if we look at these points here, and then we change the time frame, those points are exactly the same. For example, here we are on 5 minutes. Now if we go to 3 minutes, we can see that the line is still on the same place. Or if we change to 15 minutes, even if the line is small, we can see that it goes for the exact same places. So if we are trading bounces over a VWAP, then it doesn't matter which is the time frame that we are using. And it is important because if we, for example, add, I don't know, an HMA to the chart, no? Now we can see that we have a pivot here, another pivot here, a pivot here. Now if we change the time frame, for example, 5 minutes, we can see that it is completely different because the HMA is an average of the last n bars, where n is a parameter, this parameter. Instead, the VWAP has no parameter. So which is the parameter of the VWAP? The most important setting is the reset. Where is happening the reset? Because depending on where you place the reset, at the beginning of the week, at the beginning of the day, or at the beginning of the day session, then you have different results. Let me show you, for example, this is at the day session, okay? On my local computer, the session finish at this time. So this is the reset. But you can see that the line is almost not moving until we have volume, because this is when the volume, and it always happens. When there is no volume, the line almost don't move. And this is more evident if we, instead of looking at the daily, we look at the weekly. And this is something that we can change here. This is one of the only parameters that it has. So we can trade daily or weekly. On weekly, we can see that there is a reset, and the volume counter starts from 0 on this point. Okay, so we start counting price divided by volume and so on. And we can see that when the following day starts, we have almost a horizontal line until the volume starts, something that we can check. This is Friday. So if we look at the beginning of the week here, we can see that this is the daily VWAP because we are on a Monday. And then we start Tuesday, but we have almost a horizontal line because there is no volume at the bottom until the volume starts moving the line slightly because the volume is small. But we can see here it keeps horizontal until we have volume, and then this movement to the downside starts to move the line down. But the most important are the places where this line goes. Let's go back to the daily. On the daily, you can see that it says from day session. So whatever you have defined as a day session, this line is drawn when you select this line. Okay, so if you are drawing the end of the session, then you get these vertical lines. But this can change. For example, let me draw here and here. Okay, if I change this to a different session template, for example 24/7, then we can see that the vertical lines are at a different place, because on 24/7 the session changes at 0 time, or 24. And also you can see this is the place where we reset the counter. So forget the old horizontal line. So the results now are different because the reset of the volume happens at a different time. Anyway, having a reset here, or maybe 2 hours later or 2 hours before, makes not too many change, because you can see at the bottom what makes the indicator move is the volume, and the volume is at the session. So there's not too much difference on where you do the start of the counting, but usually we use the session. Okay, so that will be use instrument settings. Another important thing is to check the points where we get look at the how perfect are the retracements to this line. For example, here, 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 here. We always get a bounce over that line, and if not, here also, even on the pre-market. Or here, we always get a bounce over this line. And if you add this to another thing, for example, a retracement to the 50. Let's say that you are trading retracement to the 50 moving average, to the fib of 50%. Let's remove everything. If we have an overlap of the VWAP plus the 50 retracement, then this is a very strong setup. Example. Here, no? This is the start of the session. We have an idea of when a session starts because the volume. So when we have a day session start and then we the day session starts more or less here, where the volume starts, and then we start going to the upside and we draw a fib. You can see that usually the 50, the area between the 50 and 60% are usually a good retracement. For example, here, and then here. But on this case, we don't have an overlap. Let's find another place. Let's say here. The day session starts. This was a report. Anyway, we can trade everything from the low to the high, and we can see we touch the 50. This is a good example where we start going down and we can expect a retracement to the 50, for example, but this is on the pre-market, so we have the high of the pre-market, we make a low, and then we have an overlap of the VWAP and the 50 retracement. So this is a perfect trade setup. But now we are inside of the session from here. And now we have a new low. So my low is from here. We are going up. We keep going up, and now we have a new low here. We make new highs, and now we have an overlap of the 50 and the VWAP. Also a very good trade setup. Let's see if we can find another. But this happens on the pre-market, no? I mean, from the high to the low, okay, we have an overlap of the 50 and the VWAP. This is another example where starting from the pre-market, okay, we reach this high and then we have an overlap of the 50 and the VWAP. Okay, so this area is a good long. Another more, but this is not touching the VWAP because we are going from this high to this low and we touch the 50. It is near the VWAP, but not enough. Another thing that we can change is, what if I want to start the the reset at my local time, because then we get different results. So I want to start the reset at 10:30. So with the indicator, we can also change the time to 10:30, for example. And now at this moment, we start counting 0 for the volume, and we add the volume for each consecutive bar, add that to the price, and then do the average. But you can see that there are also good bounces over this line. By the way, the line that we are looking here is the TIS VWAP. That it has also a feature that is more similar to a moving average, because it looks at the last n bars. So it is like a moving average, but weighted by the volume. Example, if we look at 14, for example, it means that each value is the sum of the volume multiplied by the price of the last 14 bars and then divided by 14. So it is the average weighted by volume, but not from the day session or from a fixed point. No, from n bars into the past. Is it useful? It depends. You can try different numbers with different periods. For example, if we select a 1 minute bar, and then we count 60 bars into the past, that means it is 1 hour. Okay, 60 bars of 1 minute is 1 hour average. So what we get is a VWAP of the last hour, the volume weighted average of the last hour. It is also very useful, and you can see we get several bounces. It is a faster line, and of course you will get more signals. But the most important of this indicator is it is always a reference. Okay, so the market is on the upside or on the downside, and it is always acting as support or resistance. For more info, you can check on the description of this video. And you can also contact me on the chat room that we have on Discord. The access is free. And again, the instructions are on the description of this video. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.